I am very happy to show you this chop and drop action here at the base of this palovnia tree, which is located here in the new dog enclosure. It's going to be a dog enclosure because the missing part is the fence, and we will have this installed before the year ends, I think, and then the dogs can move. This is also when we have visitors, so that the dogs have a place where they can stay that is bigger than this one, and they can stay there a few days if needed. It's not a good idea to have these dogs be mixed and mingled with visitors, because after all, they are guardian dogs, and they're large, not everybody feels comfortable around them, and it's probably also a good idea not to get them acquainted with so many people, so eventually they will then lose their function. So that is why we want to have this dog enclosure. It's quite large, and it's on purpose. So when I say the future dog enclosure, I have been saying this for a long time, and soon it will be real. So back to this here. So here we were able to do some chop and drop, and I'm very happy that this is possible. Of course, this is kind of a weed that grows there, but it adds biomass. And you can really see, if I go to the other side, how this is beginning to look like here at the base. So there's a lot of organic matter that protects the soil around the base of this tree, and that should help the tree. And this is how it's supposed to work. Of course, this type of stuff does not have deep tap roots like the sunhemp, for example, but it occurs naturally here. And why not? It's good material, and it grows very fast, but the roots are very shallow. So every 2 months or so it can be chopped and helps to build soil. So that's very good. And this tree is now really tall. Now you can see. So this is a very nice example. The drip irrigation here currently is on. I can hear it here and there. Maybe I can even show you. Yeah, there you can see it. The cap got lost, but it doesn't matter because it gets reflected by that leaf there. We might want to put on a cap, but we will soon change this to wobblers. But for the time being, we are doing something else to automate a little bit, and I can show you that over here. So we installed this drip line, and it uses mini sprinklers like the red one here. It's treacherous ground here. So this helps us to free some time and probably also provide a little bit more water to the trees. Now that everything else has been cut, the only concern is now the trees. So if we manage to keep these trees well watered, they will grow. And now that we're getting closer to the rainy part of the year, we can wait with all the other stuff. It doesn't really matter. We will see what we will put here between the trees later, but for the time being, watering the rest is not of importance. It's the trees that count. I just harvested a bunch of okra, and this other stuff will, tomorrow morning when it's less hot, be cut down to act as mulch. And of course there's the Bermuda grass in there, but it doesn't matter because if you look, this is my okra harvest, and it's quite a bit. And I will put this into the freezer, and we will then use it step by step. There isn't a whole bunch of updates, which is why this video also is coming out a bit late. It's not that there is so much to report, because we are spending time indoors in the office to plan and create documents with our plans, so that going forward we know what to do and how to do it, and also the cost of everything. So like I mentioned, different approach for different goal. But still, I can show you a little bit. So here in this lazy gardener patch with the okra, a lot of stuff got cut to make a little bit of room. Some more cutting is needed on the outside, but the idea was to give the okra a little bit more space and remove a lot of this. This here is outside, it's not so important, but the important part was between the okra. Some of the okra that you see there, these seed pods, which is the thing that you can eat, they are now past the point for human consumption, so they will go to seed and then drop the seeds. So there will be okra again. I am not unhappy with this way of having okra between the Bermuda grass, but we will see how this goes. So right now you see the irrigation there, and I should also mention, so there is a sprinkler in the center and one is over here, and this is the maximum we can operate at the same time. There is a third one here, which is a different irrigation target. So when the two are done, then this will be turned on for an hour each until we have the wobblers. When we have the wobblers, this will be irrigated much more evenly. But it's not so important at the moment, because the only thing that is important in here are the trees. So this guy and the one here. And as long as we keep them alive and growing, everything is fine. And at the end of this year, when they have shed their leaves, we will do the technical cut. That means we will cut them at earth level, and the trunk and everything will be passed through a small chipper. And then we have some wood chips that we can use to feed the soil in this very same garden area. We will then also incorporate all that stuff into the soil, probably via some sort of a power harrow. And next year we will then plant a proper garden with the wobblers installed and everything. So right now everything that you see is going to be processed, removed, transformed, and I'm wondering about the grass. So I can step in a little bit. Hopefully I will not get wet, especially the camera. So if I take you here, you can see this a bit, almost. You can see there another patch of the Bermuda grass. So it is spreading because there's moisture. So this will eventually cover the whole area. So we kind of seeded our own problem, so to say. But I think this can be managed in some way, and after all, living roots is what is required. This is not supposed to become a market garden, so it's not so critical. We will do some things here in the spirit of a fruit forest or food forest, because we have the trees and somehow we should learn how to work with the trees. So this is kind of an experimental patch as a prototype area to figure out things and to learn, and we will see. Because like I keep saying, we have to try things and see how they work here. What other people do is inspiration. It's not to copy. You take the idea, you adapt it and see, and then we find out. We almost have a victim here actually. So you see that tree there. This got a little bit dry because our irrigation wasn't working the way it's supposed to, and doing it manually is always a hard thing. So this one shed the leaves, but it is already making new ones. So this tree is not dead, we have not lost it, everything is fine. The sunflowers there are now at the end of their life, this is okay, but these ones there, they are in full bloom. What is missing comes later is the sun hemp. This will also have flowers and set seed, and we will let it, because that's what we want here. We want more of this, so that we can have stuff that is penetrating the soil and adding organic matter. There is also a bit more waiting to be planted. A few days ago we did plant a little bit, over there along the berm of the center swale. It's not that much to show. Probably the next time I will then go there and show you this. But in between things, we try to harvest a little bit. And so it goes. And by the way, I should mention that we are now down to 1 employee. There has been a problem, and I'm not going to share any details, only that this problem could be considered a criminal act. Has to do with some money that got taken away, and I'm not going to share any details, please don't ask, but know that we now are down to 1, and so it will be. So there will be no other employee than this 1 person. And I can tell you that this 1 person is Angel, and Angel and I will now do everything, and the rest we will figure out how to do this. I have learned my fair share of how things work here in Spain, and I have to say that a lot of people have very strange ideas how things are supposed to work. This might also be political, but please let's not discuss this in the comments, for example. It's not worth it. It is how it is, and in any case you work with the people who are willing and able to do things. And so it is, and it will be, and it's simply a way of adapting. The same way as you adapt to other things, you also adapt to that. And the point is to move forward and not be stuck with something. So now you know, and that is also why not a lot of things that can be shown in the video are happening at the moment, because there is no point in filming ourselves planning in front of a computer and creating a document where we jot down all the ideas that we want to do and the plan and the steps and all this. You will see as it's being executed soon. What I should also mention is Life Terra has sent us the contract, and it appears that we will not only get 9,000 saplings but 14,400. And it's explicitly for Miyawaki forest, which includes also cutting down some of them over time. That is how Miyawaki works. Their regular contracts assume that you will care for a tree for 40 years and not chop it down, but that's when you plant single trees. And for Miyawaki they have modified this. So I now have this, I need to sign it and send it back. And then I have been in touch with the BCS distributor. Again, a little hiccup there. I got called from their representative in Cordoba, and that person promised me to send me a pro forma invoice with the details and the amount for the machine and the accessories, and it never came. So I wrote again this morning to the head office of BCS in Spain that I got a call and never any follow-up, so that they can follow up in this. It's weird. I want to spend money and they don't move. So why I'm telling this, we need this BCS machine and a plow to make strips, some little channels that will then be used to set the saplings. We are still aiming for November, hoping that in October we have some rain. So now we have a coordination effort, and to those who have written me, who want to come here, so soon when I have a little bit more information, I will send you an email and contact you. But anybody else, if you are interested, there will be a planting session, a tree planting session in November, so it seems at the moment. We will pick you up at the train station or at the airport of Seville, depending where you're coming from. And we will put you into a hostel for the night and feed you, and we will have a beer and all this. And we will then plant a lot of little trees. And if you are interested and you want to see the place and also lend us a hand, please send an email, info@kaimito.net, and then we'll organize the details. And the closer we get, the more things are being organized and actually agreed upon, you will then also be informed so that we know the exact date for this session. And given the amount of trees, it might be more than one session, but preferably between November and at most December, because then it gets cold. And between January and February, it's the coldest part. We have freezing temperatures, so there we cannot do this. But until then, the temperatures are nice. So the daytime temperature, when it's pretty low, is 15 degrees. At night, it gets colder. But 15 degrees, when you work outside and do something, that's not so bad. So think about 20 to 15 daytime temperatures between November and December. And then we build a forest, the first step. So anybody who is any interested in this, please send me a mail and I will let you know about more details, and you can ask questions and like this. And of course, once we plant, there will be lots of videos about how this goes. And the intention is, because the trees come from Life Terra, a foundation that is being financed by the EU, so we will certainly do more sessions. These guys are very interested in the opportunity here, and we will do a lot more of this going forward. So there will be more opportunities for people lending a hand and getting to know and doing something useful. After all, we are using public money here, EU funds, so this is open for everyone to participate. What I should also mention is that now all the trees have their own drip line, and by drip line I mean that at the end there is this red thing. This is a mini it's not a wobbler but a mini sprinkler, and this provides quite a bit of water. So the idea is to water these trees with that, and it's only the trees. You see, I placed this pretty close for an hour, and while this works we can do something else. We will not care about the plants there in the center. They have done their purpose. If they reach a water source and grow, that's fine. If not, it's biomass. The roots in the soil are the important thing. And the only exception to this are tomatoes. They will be watered with a hose. And you see here, there's a tomato vine that I placed on top of the sun hemp. And there the remnants of the sunflower. So I try a little bit to help this along, because I have no trellis or something like that, but it's a natural one. And I am eager to try growing a tomato on the trunk of a paulownia tree. Soon that should be possible. We tried this before over there, but there was not enough irrigation, so that failed. But now we can probably do this. And there's this other tomato patch over there. They self-seeded. And here there's also a little bit more, because that was the compost pile before, and there were seed in there. And now we have these tomatoes. And you can see that we do get some little tomatoes now. It took a while. It's kind of late, but they are there and everything is fine. So there, for example, there's a pretty big one there in the center of the image. So this is coming along, and I expect soon a lot of tomatoes. What I can also show you quickly, because it's related. Tomato means tomato sauce, and a tomato sauce in some variants needs basil. So here we have Italian basil. I need to remove a little bit the upcoming flower heads. So here and there, so that it gets more like a bush. And there's more. There's also one there in the shadow between the ochre. And speaking about, so here's a green ochre that was in the back. That is also showing up. There's a fruit body. There is more here. This is also something that is showing up. I'm now a little bit unsure, but I think it's a chili variant. The chive works despite the heat. If it gets enough water, it's all fine. This received water this morning, but you can already see that it's thirsty. And here we have the Thai basil. So with the two types of basil, we can certainly do a lot of tomato sauce once the tomatoes are there. And we'll see how that works. I assume we will freeze the tomatoes and process them later. Usually you would not freeze a tomato because it comes out mushy, but if you process this into a sauce, it does not matter. So there's a little bit of update. And over there, between the trees, this now definitely feels a lot cooler there and has some forest feeling to it. The dogs like it. They go there for shade or spend the night between the trees, so that is working out very well. What I can also mention is that from Sunday on, apparently the temperatures are going down. So 30 will be the maximum. Right now the maximum is still 37 or 38. So we are getting into August, into autumn. So the change of seasons is now about to happen, which is a positive thing. Because you grow tired of all the heat.